Hello and welcome to Off Track, the motorcycle racing podcast. As you know by now, I'm your host Dave Neal, and I'm delighted to bring you the fourth of 5 shows from a very busy Motorcycle Live at the Birmingham NEC. First up is a very quick catch-up on the Bennetts stand with Bennetts British Superbike champion Bradley Ray over an Express Coffee before we switch to Yamaha UK and a 20-minute chat with the 2021 Bennetts British Superbike champion Tarran Mackenzie. We round out with Simon Reid, the son of Northern Irish legend Brian Reid, who tells us about his difficult journey back from injuries sustained at Oulton Park in September 2021 and his plans to return to racing in 2023. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Brad, Taz and Simon. Enjoy! On the Bennetts stand at Motorcycle Live, and who better to have a chat to than the 2022 Bennetts British Superbike champion, Bradley Ray. Mate, it still sounds good.
Yeah, no, it's something that's not going to be taken away from him, is it? So, yeah, it's nice to come here, see all the fans again, be in the racing environment and speak to you, obviously.
Thanks, mate. It's been a pleasure, hasn't it? It's been all right. What have you been doing the last couple of weeks?
Just letting it all soak in, really. Bit of downtime, been out with the mates, been down the pub and just having a bit of a crack for a little while.
Snooker?
And, been playing snooker. Yeah, went to York, watched live snooker. Carl's really into it, and he's got me into it. So we managed to we booked tickets to go and watch, and then we messaged Eurosport and just said, is there any chance of maybe meeting some players? And they got us full access to the.
Why did you get the tickets? Should you not have messaged Eurosport first before you got the tickets?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Do you not know who I am?
It was. I spoke to Shane actually, and I said, Shane, you couldn't do me a favour and see if you can get Eurosport to sort some tickets out. And he said, yeah, I'll get that sorted for you, no drama. So. Yeah, got that sorted, and then we was literally just like on the practice tables with all the professionals. They're all walking in and out, and we went and watched Ronnie and Judd and people like that. So yeah, it's a good day out.
You get to meet the boys as well while you're up there and get a chat with them.
Yeah. Honestly, it was like we didn't meet Ronnie. Unfortunately, he was like nowhere to be seen.
He's an enigma. That
exactly,
morning.
Yeah. But all the rest, like all the other players, they would literally just come in, pot some balls. We had a couple of photos of them, and just a good day out.
That's It's settling in nicely for you. That's the main thing.
Yeah. No, real good. Yeah.
What's I suppose a big question now? What's happening next year, mate?
Hopefully, World Championship. That's the plan. We've been speaking to Yamaha and worked out a deal with, I think it's Moto X, the team. So I've got to go out and see them at some point. But hopefully we can box that off in the next few weeks, and that'll be the next step. I think it'll be just European rounds for next year, but. Yeah, I just want to get my foot in the door. I want to make the move to World Superbikes. Hopefully, do a good enough job and stay there for the foreseeable.
With the deal with Yamaha Europe or with the team?
Yamaha Europe.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So that's a good security for you over 2 years.
1 year deal, I think, but I think they want to keep me for a little while. So we've just been speaking to Dossley, the boss of Yamaha.
For me, for where it is and what you're doing, it needs 2 years, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
It's like doing your first season in BSB. You're not going to prove anything in your first year, but you get your foot in the door and you learn.
Yeah.
So what are your expectations with the team? And you know the Yamaha well enough, mate. You've had enough experience.
That's the most important thing. Obviously, I rode the Yamaha all this year, and going into next year, I'll be on a pretty much identical bike. Obviously, the biggest thing will be electronics with the traction control and anti-wheelie and the engine brakes. I need to.
You actually get to use electronics.
Exactly.
What's all that about?
So that's going to take a little bit of time to get used to and set that up. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to a new challenge. I feel like we can do a good job. Obviously, there's quite a few boys. Agata's moving up. Remy Gardner's obviously coming in.
Yeah.
Baldessari, all people that I've sort of raced against or like beat in the past. So it's in my best interest to prove to Yamaha that I can do a good job. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Brilliant. Well, you're looking back on over the season. What was the high point for you? Obviously, lifting the trophy at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Overall, what was the best memory you're looking back on?
I think feeling-wise was getting that first victory at Oulton Park on the Yamaha, and my first victory for 4 years. It was nice to finally end that drought. That was very important, and probably the triple at Snetterton. Obviously, my best has been a double this year as well, but it was nice to secure the triple at Snet. It's something that I've always wanted to do and wanted to achieve, so it was nice to tick that off. And my favourite races would have to be Thuxton, because they were just phenomenal. Each race was like identical. You couldn't put a fag paper between us. So I really enjoyed that day.
Look at what are you going to do now for the next couple of months? What's the schedule now for Christmas and then early New Year? More downtime?
Yeah, just
training.
Yeah, training. Yeah, we've had a bit of downtime now. I think we might head out to Spain at some point, maybe with Kyle, do a bit of cycling and. just get back into the flow of things. Obviously the season's going to come around quite quick. It'll be soon January and we'll be testing, and then it won't be long before the season starts. So yeah, just keep in shape, keep riding, keep training, and hopefully it won't be too long we're back on a bike.
Wonderful. When the news comes out, hopefully not too long, best of luck with it, mate. We'll look forward to catching up at Donington next year.
Cheers, mate.
Going to do it one more time. 2022 Bennetts British Superbike champion Bradley Ray.
Keep that in the locker. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Welcome to Off Track. We're still at the NEC. We're in it's like a really fancy press office at Yamaha. It's like it's a stock room, Taz, isn't it? This is we've done it in more salubrious places, but I'm delighted to say McCam's Yamaha, Taz Mackenzie, former British Superbike champion. Welcome to Off Track, mate.
Thank you very much. Former British Superbike champion. I got called today ex-British Superbike champion. I felt like I sounded so old when someone named me that, but yeah, true. But happy to be on the podcast.
Thank you, mate. And it is a little bit of a bitter pill to swallow in it when you have to introduce it like that, but I'd rather be able to introduce you as that than not at all.
Oh,
there's your positive way.
Well,
there's
exactly,
your positive spin.
I know. And after the year I've had to look back on 2021 and look back at the nice memories and winning the championship, and 25 years on since Dad and everything, it was a real nice year for me to win it, and made up for Brad and the whole OMG team to finally get the job done with them. So with the injuries and stuff, I don't mind. I would like to have had a better year, but I'm lucky with the outcome. So
mitigating circumstances, isn't there? That's the thing.
Well, exactly. I know, and it's unfortunate for the way the season panned out, but it could always be worse. The femur injury was a big injury, and it could have been a lot more complicated. So I was lucky with that side of it, and just happy to have a bit of a break now.
Turn it back 12 months, because I'm delighted you've joined us on the podcast. Thank you, mate. It's the first time we've had a chance to do this since we did Motorpod a few years ago.
Yeah.
And to now have you stood here as a Bennetts British Superbike champion, still make you put a smile on your face in the morning, because it's still there. It doesn't matter when it was, it's still there. Same as your dad, 25 years ago. But it's only 12 months ago, so where are we now with that? The grin's still there.
As I said, the year that I did it, with just the way it panned out and how I won the championship, and 25 years on, and when we look back at pictures with Dad's boost bike there, and it was made to be this big thing, like 25 years of BSB, but throughout the whole year, me and my family never thought, it'd be great if Tarran could win it in the 25 years on, and when I finally got the job done and the celebrations came out, and it was just a nice way to win it with everyone there, and it was great, and as you said, I can look back on it with fond memories and can't complain. So just happy.
I first remember you coming into BS, because I'm older than I look, all right? I remember you coming into Motostar, and it was 125, was it not?
Yes, before Motostar,
And you could barely touch the floor on the 125.
Yeah.
And I remember you at Cadwell Park.
Yeah.
and it's like, the guy can barely... But you did what you did, and you went on through Motostar, and you went on through Red Bull Rookies and Stock 6. It's been an incredible career so far for... What are you now, 26?
Just turned 27.
Just turned 27. An incredible career for the last sort of 15 years already.
I know, and it's crazy to think that I've done more than half my life in racing in the BSB paddock. So, it started off steady that first year in 2010. I was really small. I weighed 34 kilos. I was just a tiny little person with this big ATV helmet. And struggled a lot in that first year, and then as time went on, I just slowly progressed. Maybe there was no natural talent there was no initial spark where everyone thought, this kid's got it, like you see, like Johnny Garness, for instance, now is a similar height and weight to as what I was back in the day, and it wasn't quite as plain sailing as I'd like to have been as a kid, but I worked hard and I persevered, and just as the years went on, even the first year in Stock 600, it wasn't something that I really wanted to do, but it was quite daunting jumping on a 600. I was quite small. I was 18, but I was quite a small 18. I'm still small now, and managed to kind of wrestle that round and get some results in my first year, which I was really pleased, and it's just progressed nicely there from going to second year in Stock 600, getting a few wins, Super Sport winning in the first year, and then dipping out with Moto 2 and then coming back to BSB. it's not been as plain sailing as I'd like to have been, with injuries and a few lows and a few downs, but I always just work hard, keep a smile on my face, and eventually it'll come good.
I think that's been something that people tend to miss out sometimes, is you are the son of Niall Mackenzie.
Yeah.
But nothing you've done has been gifted.
No, not
and
at all.
It's the same with Taylor.
Yeah.
It's been a long old road, which I think made what you did last year something even more special.
Yeah, exactly. The first year I came back from Moto 2 into BSB in 2018, I had no expectations, there was no pressure, and I just really enjoyed that first year in Superbike. I'd say out of the 5 years I've done in BSB, it was probably one of the most enjoyable. Maybe not the championship to have no pressure, had a big teammate like Josh Brooks in an amazing team like McCann Yamaha, and they just allowed me to progress in that first year. And I think a lot of people, I know I've had friends and sponsors say it's not going to work, you riding a big Superbike around these tracks, but I just made it work, and the team gave me the tools to do that job, and eventually it came good. In that first year in as a rookie, to have 4 podiums, I led a lot of laps. I think that year I was the 3rd or 4th most laps led out of everyone, which is crazy to think as a rookie. So I learned so much in that first year, and then each year just progressed on from there really, and to finally win a championship, which I never expected. It was never the intention to come back and be British Superbike champion, so to do that is great, and a massive box tick.
That's an unusual statement. Why did you not expect to be British champion?
Because when I came back to BSB from World Championship, my goal was always to get to World Championship, whether it was World Supersport or World Supersport or Moto 2. Went to Moto 2 and it didn't quite work out, and I came back, and kind of Dad drilled into me that we're not coming back to get complacent in BSB, we're coming to learn how to ride a Superbike, be a professional rider, earn a salary and ride for a great team, and learn as much as I can to try and push on and go out to world, whether it's World Supersport or World Superbike. And if I'm honest, I kind of had in my head I'd do 2-3 years and then I'd try and go, but for whatever reason, COVID, a few other things happened along the way and it didn't quite happen, and then managed to win it, which I never expected really. I always want to challenge and hope that it might turn out good, but you have to have a lot of things fall your way and a lot of luck to win a championship, and it just happened to turn out that I managed to do it in the end, so I was made up.
It's a quick question on Moto 2 before there's something else I want to just have a quick chat with you about. If you go back to that opportunity again from Moto 2, would you still make the same decision?
As in to go ride? Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think for me, I got an opportunity to go. The team was really good. The bike probably wasn't as competitive as some of the other bikes, but it was a massive opportunity. I haven't had any more Moto 2 offers since I've come back, so I'm glad I took it. And I was riding towards the back most races. I managed to score some points, which was massive. But I'd done 1 year in British Supersport and then went and rode Moto 2. There was some guys that have raced in World Superbike, they jumped to Moto 2 or they dropped down from MotoGP, so it was a tough learning curve. But what I didn't realise was that when I came back to BSB, it just improved me as a rider so much. I think if I'd stayed in British Supersport, moved to British Superbike, it would have been a bigger step, whereas Moto 2, there was a lot of things you can change on the bike. You can change head angles, pivot, ride height, like everything. You can pretty much change everything on a Moto 2 bike as you can on a Superbike. And I think if I'd done that from Supersport to Superbike, it would have been a bigger jump. So for me, it was just riding a fast Moto 2 bike when I came back, and I think that's what made the step easier. I went really fast, or fast-ish, in the first test in Cartagena, and from that point on, it progressively just got a lot better. But Moto 2 was a big step, but it took me in at the deep end, but it made me learn quickly. And I think when I look back at now, like riders like Jake Dixon or even Rory, I think from them jumping on a Superbike to a Moto 2 bike, it's going to cut out a lot of corners for them. And you see Jake now in his 4th, 5th year, he's making big headway and a regular podium contender, which is great to see that people can jump from BSB and go and be competitive on the world stage.
When in your championship year, the one thing that stood out for me watching from where I was watching from is Oulton Park.
Yeah.
And I can see the smile on your face now. At that point, regardless of what Jason had done beforehand, I knew you were going to win the championship after that Oulton Park round.
Yeah.
What changed?
I had a horrible pre-season test. All the tests really. Snetterton was bad weather. I had a crash there. Crashed at Silverstone. Went to Oulton Park. I think if you'd probably be able to look at the results, I was like 16th or 18th. And it was my crew chief Chris Anderson and the engine builder Kev Stevenson. They kind of put their heads together and said something needs to change. We rock up to Oulton Park every year. He does the same thing. He does the same lap time. I'd never gone lower than a 35 flat from a 2018 right through to the 2021 test. And if you don't change something, then you're just going to get the same results type of thing. And that's what was happening. I was trying my best. I was trying to improve, do different things, look at old footage and try and improve myself. And for whatever reason, it wasn't working. So they decided, I won't name the name of what they named the engine, but it rhymes with hitter. And they decided to just make this engine that was a lot slower, took power out. It was real, not much torque. It was real soft off the bottom. It wasn't revvy, wasn't fast in the speed traps by any means, but it just allowed me to ride the bike around Oulton Park. Before I was hanging on to it, and the bike was kind of taking me for a ride. So from that first test to the first round, I think Oulton Park was, Jason did the triple, which was amazing for the team. But for me, I knew when I went back I'd make a big step. I finished fourth in the last race at the first round. I had the fastest lap of the race. I was on the back of the podium bunch with Bridle and Idden, who are no slouches around Oulton, and I knew when it got to the showdown that I'd make a step in myself, and that's what happened. And I actually went to Oulton in the showdown with an injury, the broken hand and wrist from Silverstone when me and Jason had the crash. So it was a tough weekend, but I just decided I was going to make a step there, and that's what I did. I won the first race, finished on the podium in the second race, finished on the podium in the third race, but then unfortunately got a penalty. But from that point on, I left as championship leader. Had a bit of luck with Jason making a mistake, but yeah, just it was funny how it turned out. Oulton was my bogey track, and I managed to win there. So yeah, great.
And then you got to Brands Hatch.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the best I've ever seen Tarran Mackenzie ride.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have to do what you did.
No.
But you did.
I know, yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I have, with Dad, known a lot of people, and just being around the likes of Neil Hodgson, Rob Mack.
Happy birthday, Neil.
Yeah. Michael Laverty that looks after me as well. And I just had, going into Brands, had all these, they weren't telling me what to do, but they were just giving their experience. Hodgie being BSB champion, Dad having 3 types of BSB championships, the way he had to win it. Rob Mack being a team manager where he could see from both riders of each year of how they won it. And Emlav, who's got so much experience in the showdown and BSB in general. So I just took bits from everyone, and I went in with a game plan of, I was winning that first race. Before the weekend, I told my crew chief Chris that I'm going to win that first race. We're not going to celebrate. And if you look back on the footage, we all come in and we just like shake hands. We're not smiling. We're like, right, job done. We've got 22-point lead or whatever it was. We're not celebrating yet. Tomorrow we'll celebrate. And that's the mentality I went in. That nothing changed. Wet, dry, mixed conditions. I was going to be fast. I qualified third in a drying track with wets on. And yeah, even on the Friday, we had bike problems, and I wasn't getting stressed at all. I could tell other people there was a bit of tension, people were worrying, and I just kept a cool head, and that was probably, out of everyone, Rob Mack probably gave me the best advice, just because he could see it from a different perspective, really. And I just took his advice, and I thought I'm just going to stick to the plan and try and win that first race, which I did. And then when I had the chance of winning the first race on the Sunday to win the championship, thought I got to go for it. I had a massive moment at one point. Tommy Bridle hit me, and yeah, the way to win it on the last lap, last corner, and get it across the line, and then have a nice relaxing last race was great. And I genuinely couldn't have dreamed of a better weekend. You hope for weekends like that, but to do the triple and win the championship was amazing.
We know this season's been difficult. It's well documented. I don't want to dwell on that, and I'm very conscious that I've got you stood on your feet in the back of the Yamaha stand. Talk to me about 2023. I gather there are some changes on the horizon, and the opportunities that you deserve and were looking for last season are now presenting themselves, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Like I said before, the goal was to always try and get back to World Championship one way or another, and each year it's at times there's certain things that happen where it's looking likely, and then for whatever reason it didn't happen. End of last year was probably the perfect time to go, being 25, being British champion. I could stay in BSB for the next 10 years and have a really good run of years and try and win as many championships as possible. But I think when you're 20, 25, and for me that's got aspirations to go to World Championship, I want to pursue and at least try it and experience it. And there's been plenty of riders that have left BSB and gone on to do great things, and I'm not saying I'm going to go off and do great things, but I'd at least like to try.
Got to put your foot in the door, Taz.
Exactly, and yeah, we've worked hard to try and make something happen this year. There's been certain opportunities where it's looking likely and then it's gone away, but I think for now that the opportunity I've got next year, I'm going to take with both hands and just try my best. I'm not actually sure what I'm racing yet, but I'm hoping that it will be in the World Superbike paddock at least. And yeah, I'm sad to be leaving BSB, leaving Mackenzie Yamaha, but they've taught me so much and allowed me to push on and pursue my dreams really. And yeah, I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity they've given me, and hopefully can go enjoy the world scene.
2 questions to finish, you'll be pleased to know.
Okay.
First one is in 2 parts.
Yeah.
What's your favourite corner and why?
Hawthorne's Brands Hatch. Brands Hatch is my favourite circuit, and if you could bottle up the feeling of like a nice summer's day in the middle of the year at Brands, you come in flat out in 5th gear, just as you're coming over the crest it starts wheeling, it's tank slapping, and then you brake back 2 gears and on the Yamaha you can just throw it in. For me it's the best corner. I've actually crashed there and it's fast when you come off, but I think that's what makes it exciting, that it's for me by far the best corner. When you pass in there it's like you've got to make it count, and yeah, I'd love to say like Knockhill Hairpin, but it's really not. It's Brands Hatch, Hawthorne's. Yeah.
That is the epitome of exactly why I asked that question, because your eyes light up and everything, you go, yeah, that's why I love it. So thank you, mate. That's no exactly why I asked that question. And to finish off, what's your best hire car story?
Oh, best hire car story. I was in a hire car in Moto2 and I was late for warm-up with my teammate driving and in Assen, and there was a massive queue to get into the track. Nothing happened to the hire car, but I don't know if you know, well, you've probably been to Assen, and the Dutch love cycling, don't they? It's big cycle lanes, and it's obviously not for cars, but we were late and we weren't making it, so my teammate Domi Agata jumped down the ditch, went into the cycle lane and nailed it past all these cars. The policeman caught him, so we jumped back in the queue. Policeman jumped back into the cycle lane, got caught again and got €250 fine, and then back on. And then we're that late that the team manager and his wife had to ride 2 scooters out to us. They jumped in the hire car and we rode the scooters in. We had no breakfast and we made warm up for like 5 minutes. We chucked our leathers on and went out. But no, I'd love to say I'd barrel rolled the hire car and both wheels fell off and. No,
I can't lie, I'm disappointed, mate.
Yeah, I'm not that much of a hooligan. You probably get a better hire car story out of my dad more than anyone.
Because those were the days when they would do that kind of thing and everything else.
I know.
Rob Mack's word of advice for Brands, it wasn't have chocolate on the flapjack, was it?
No, it wasn't, although I did have plenty of chocolate after the season. I gained a few pounds after with a bit of celebrating, so I'm trying to keep my weight. I haven't got much celebrating to do. I was speaking to Brad, he's a good friend, and he's getting plenty of celebrations and parties in which I've got full respect for, because you need to celebrate 100%, and again, when I've had a year like I had, I'm glad I went and enjoyed myself. So yeah, no celebrations. I go on holiday next week, so I'm happy with that. Get 5 nights or 5 days in the sun, and then come back and get started for 2023.
We'll wait for the 2023 news, Taz.
Congratulations,
mate, and
cheers,
good luck
Dave.
with it. We'll catch up again.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back to Off Track. I'm your host, Dave Neal, and our penultimate chat from the Birmingham NEC. We're still on the Yamaha stand, and I'm absolutely delighted to say Northern Ireland's finest BMXer, Simon Reid. Welcome back to the show, mate.
How's it going, Dave? Nice to be back, and good to have a chat again.
It's nice to have a yarn again, isn't it? We did it a couple of years ago, well, at the beginning of last season, that we had a chat, and things kind of didn't quite go to plan. They started off kind of well in Stock 6, and it didn't quite go to plan. but it's great to see you back here now. And what we've seen on the Instagram, the legs on the mend, you're looking back to full fitness. Tell us about the journey so far.
Yeah, well, leading into the 2021 season, I obviously believe in my ability, but I put everything into it, and sometimes, no matter how hard you work at something, sometimes it just doesn't go to plan. So there was probably various things that contributed to not going to plan, but it's been a bit of a bumpy road. Probably started the year quite well. I was capable of winning races, capable of being on the podium. I showed that. I would say that's the positives to take away from the start of the year. I was fast, and I was capable of achieving what I wanted to, but as I said, one thing or another, it didn't happen. But yeah, look, just have to try and move forward and take the positives from that. Some tough injuries, femur, fib, tib, a lot of other complications, lots of hospital visits, cages, had a cage in my leg for 5 months. A lot of things thrown at me, but yeah, look, you always have to try and put a positive spin on it. I would feel like I'm a lot more mentally stronger. It's that old saying, what doesn't kill you always makes you stronger. So look, I've just taken my time, sorted my injuries out. I've done a lot of work in the gym. My leg's strong. I'm back to 100% fitness. I feel good in myself. I've sat down, I've thought about my racing and what I really want to do and what path I want to go down. So I've taken that time, and I knew the decision going forward with my racing, it needed to be the right one to show what I'm capable of and show my potential. So yeah, I would say that was the most important thing lately, is just making the right decisions, getting the right people around me to move forward and show what I can do.
Before we move on to what the potential plans are for 2023, talk to me about Oulton Park and the immediate aftermath of that, the injury as you just described there, because I think it's important for our listeners to understand that our sport, yes, it hurts physically, but mentally as well. It's such a demanding sport in that sense. Talk us through those early days in hospital over in the UK before you could even get home. Was it Cascades?
Hizzies.
Was it Hizzies?
Yeah, the wee chicane, the right in the chicane at Hizzies. Second lap of FP1 on a Friday morning. First flying lap. It was sort of like the track was dry, but it was cold and sort of, wouldn't say iffy conditions. The track was dry, but it was like moisture. Felt like it was just cruising. First flying lap, you're just getting warmed up, you're getting the feel of things, and just going through the normal processes that you do, and just came down into Hizzies, trail braking towards the curb on the brake, and I remember going into the corner like really gingerly pulling on the front brake, being cautious, and the rear just let go and snapped really hard and high sided me, probably the biggest, by far the biggest high side I've ever had, and yeah, just hit the ground pretty hard. The doctor said that it was just the impact of me hitting the road. I broke my femur, and then the force that went down through my leg just shattered my tib and fib as well. So that was sort of the beginning of a tough time. I got taken to the hospital in Crewe, spent 10 days there. They operated on my femur, put a rod in my femur, and then they put like a fixator on my tib and fib just to keep everything in place. And then they said it would be some time before they could operate on my tib and fib once the swelling went down. So yeah, it was a very dark time, I would say. You're stuck in hospital in England. None of my family are allowed in to visit me. The days were very long. Definitely would have changed my perspective on what pain actually is. Femur, I've broke a lot of bones, but the femur's definitely a different level. But yeah, look, we got through it. Just had to push through it.
Tell me about the journey since then, going back home for convalescence and rehab. At what point did you realise that you were going to continue a career on two wheels?
I would say, like, even sitting in the hospital, I'd never really questioned whether I was going to race again or not. You know, it was just a case of, right, you know, it must be that motorbike rider mentality. You just, right, what do we need to do to fix this? And that's it. You know, I never really questioned, you know, I'm going to quit type thing. You know, it was never really about that. If I probably had have known what was going to be ahead of me, you know, even the magnitude of those injuries, you know, that's one thing, but it was nearly the complications that came after that. You know, once they fixed my tib and fib, they put a plate and screws into it, and you know, the doctor said as well, my fitness was a big thing that helped me. You know, I was fit and strong, and I work hard in the gym, and that's what got me home. You know, it was like 10 days, but the nurses and stuff were like, if that was somebody normal person who'd be here for weeks. But and then getting on the plane, obviously, to go home, and it was a rough journey. Like, it was like, I remember getting out of bed and just being like, I have no idea how I'm doing this, but I am going home. I do not care, I am going home. But we got home, and that was, it wasn't straightforward after that. As I said, the pendant plated my tib and fib, which then 3 months down the line, couldn't sleep, couldn't really eat, lost a lot of weight, was just generally quite ill, and multiple hospital visits. They decided to take the plate and screws out of my tib and fib. My femur was okay, it was very good, and they were very happy with that, but my tib and fib got infections, kept getting infections, so they said, no, this isn't going to work. So 3 months down the line, it's like going back to square one. So they put Lizard-off frame on, the big exterior cage, like the Hutchie cage, as everybody knows it in the motorbike world. Had one of them on then I was in hospital roughly for 6 weeks, and then had one of them on for 4.5 months. So it's not fun having a cage in your head.
I cannot begin to imagine what that's like and how it compromises what you do.
Yeah,
everything.
You know, Hutchie, I spoke to Hutchie on the phone multiple times, and he sort of gave me advice, and you know, it's good to talk to somebody like that that's been through it so many times, you know, and it made my situation feel a lot less, you know, drastic. He's been through hell, but yeah, it definitely G'd me up a bit, and you know, he give me advice on going to the gym, and you know, when you have, that's the good thing about the cage, you know, you can go to the gym, and I never stopped going to the gym. You know, I just did what I could and when I could, which definitely paid off. You know, it was a long haul, sleeping with the cage and cleaning it. It's just a bit shit, but we got through it. And once the cage came off, all the gym work and the rehab and things that I done with the cage on, you know, it paid off. I jumped on my bicycle. You know, they wanted me to wear like a moon boot for 6 weeks once the cage came off, but I never really listened to that. I just got the cage on and jumped onto the bicycle again, and away we went.
How important was continuing going to the gym for your mental health during that time, after what you'd been through in hospital, and then having the difficulties of the infection to then put you back to square one? How much did going to the gym each day help? Yeah,
look, it was, you know, you lie in bed and you feel like shit and you're in pain and blah, 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 and you sort of get out of a routine, and it made me sort of realise how important my routine is, you know, with the gym. And as you say, you know, you've touched on it, how tough this game is. You know, racing motorbikes is very much a mental game, you know, not just the injuries were physical, but yeah, it definitely takes its toll. Like, you know, day in, day out for 8 or 9 months, it was, it's not easy, but it going to the gym, sticking to your routine, and just definitely makes you feel better. You know, it's very important, and I definitely learned a lot about myself. I'd put it that way.
What's the biggest thing you learned? You know, when we were talking before we turn these microphones on, I said I get these questions sometimes. There's one for you. What's the biggest thing you learned about yourself in those times?
It's a tough
that you
question.
Didn't know before.
It's a tough question. I'm usually good at answering questions, but you're sort of stuck for words. That it's just such a whirlwind. Like, it was the whole thing over the last year was just such a whirlwind. I don't really know. I'd say it definitely made me mentally stronger and made me realise, you know, that I want to, you know, how much I enjoy my racing, you know, and as I said, I've concentrated on getting down the right path and the right people around me, which, you know, is what I need. So yeah, just about enjoying yourself, really. How much you take it for granted, you know, like, geez, getting up and going to the toilet at a stage just like climbing Mount Everest. So yeah, you take a lot of stuff for granted. So I would say that's maybe something that would...
There you go. It wasn't such a difficult question, but it may be one you weren't expecting.
No.
At least you're smiling. That's
you're good at throwing them in.
Talk to me about now, where Simon Reid is now. What's the future holding for you as we're sat here at the NEC at the end of the 2022 season?
You know, I was probably fit enough to go racing a lot earlier in the year, maybe May time, and I had things organised to go racing, and as I said, it's important for me to make the right decisions going forward. And look, I ended up deciding to not go down that road with that bike and the setup, so which probably made things difficult too, you know, to get something sorted in the middle of the year, and obviously sponsors and coming from an injury, and you know, the way the world is at the moment, getting financial help and things, it's very tough. So yeah, that wasn't easy, and obviously trying to make the right decision for me and what was going to be right. You know, you can't base everything off finances. You know, you need to do what's going to be right for you. So yeah, Simon Reid's back to 100% fitness. I have had a couple of loyal sponsors that have stuck with me and given me the opportunity. They got me back on a bike.
Give me a shout.
Yeah, Start Solar bought me a new Honda Fireblade. So it was sort of just right time, right place. The bike was sitting there, and yeah, it seems to be the right machinery. Next year I will be riding a Honda Fireblade and Superstock 1000. So that's what the plan is. That will be happening. So yeah, it's exciting times. We got the bike in end of August, start of September. We went to the Sunflower, and I probably had we probably had the most fun I've had racing a motorbike in 2 years. It was just fantastic. It was so laid back. Jumped on the new bike, you know, big step on to 1000. The bike suited me, you know, it just felt at home on the bike straight away. You know, even getting off the R6, you know, when you usually get a new bike, it usually feels alien, you know, like, oh, this is going to take a bit of getting used to, but I didn't have that feeling. Apart from like the sheer speed of the bike, was definitely an eye-opener. Maybe the fact that I hadn't rode a bike in a year probably didn't help, but yeah, it was definitely an eye-opener, but the bike felt awesome. I just thought to myself, God, like, once I get used to this, like, I know, and I really think this will suit me. So yeah, got the Honda, and yeah, can't wait.
What about the training routine now? How much now you've experienced it, changing from stock 6, the gym work you've done in the meantime to now getting onto a litre bike? What are the changes for you?
Yeah, like, I would say I've always been naturally strong. You know, I've just the close people around me. We've always said, you know, the big bike will probably suit your riding style more. You know, just the way I ride, you know, tend to be smooth, and you know, yeah, I just thought that the bike, even my stature, you know, that the big bike will suit me better. So as I said, you know, going to the Sunflower was my first, you know, we went and done a couple of track days and things, and we just said, look, we'll go, you know, we'll just go and have fun and no pressure. And yeah, I was lucky to have the help of the two Jackson brothers. They came over to the Sunflower, and they were fantastic help. Learned a lot off them about the bike, and yeah, we went, and it was the first race on the Friday. I came around, got the whole shot, and came around in the lead in the first lap, and it was a bit like, God, I didn't expect to be here, but yeah, it was just nice to be enjoying my riding again. And yeah, it's always nice to lead a race and to stand on the podium. Really, my first proper weekend racing again in 13 months was a bit unexpected, but yeah, it was a nice feeling now.
Which track are you looking forward to riding the Fireblade on most?
I've always went well at Silverstone, and Silverstone's the first round, so I like the Honda, I like Silverstone. So I don't know, I'm trying to be realistic about what my goals are next year.
That's my next question.
I thought that. Yeah, it's going to be nice to go to a track at the start of the year that I enjoy and that I've went previously well at. So yeah, I'm excited.
When we did the podcast before, can't remember. I think I did, but we'll do it again. Just to round the chat off, always with a smile. What's your favourite corner and why?
Favourite corner and why? I'd probably have to say that one that, just talking about Silverstone, one that comes to mind is that last corner out onto the start straight. It's like 4th, 5th gear, sideways, like the bike's spinning and you're just flat out onto the straight. It's a pretty nice corner. What else? What other corners? That's just one of those fast corners that feels good, and it feels class when the bike's drifting around it. So I'd probably have to say that one, or can't remember what I said. What did I answer with the last time?
I can't remember.
What other corner do I like?
That's why I get away with. I'm old. I get away with forgetting things. I can't remember what you said.
I like Craner curves.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
it's quite flowing that when you get it right, isn't it?
Yeah, Donington's another track that I really, really enjoy. So it's nice dropping down that hill, and so yeah, maybe second.
And the final question, and I'm pretty sure you've got one. If you say no, I don't believe you. What's your best hire car story?
What's my best what?
Hire car story. So the fellas are grinning here looking at this.
I don't know if I can tell that story.
Literally, your dad is sat in there, Brian, the good Lord himself, has literally just set forward and started grinning. Talk to me, Simon.
I would probably have to say Cartagena. What year was that? 17. I'd only started racing when we went to Cartagena, and we were there a couple of days before we were on track, and I was doing the Woolsey Coulter test, which was like the day after the BSB test. I hadn't been to BSB yet, so we were driving to the circuit to watch BSB boys, and we were obviously driving on the other side of the road, and we were indicating left, so the oncoming traffic, was coming in a different eye. I wasn't driving now, which is an important... I don't know if we'll mention names who was driving.
Do it.
Brian Reid was driving.
No wonder you were grinning,
we're indicating
Brian.
left at a junction, and I wouldn't say it was totally all our fault, but the nose of the car was probably sitting very close to the white line, and the oncoming traffic, the Spanish guy, just came flying down and maybe just didn't expect where we were and just ploughed straight into the front of us. Car was an absolute write-off. Airbags, the whole lot, flip. One of those ones where you just don't expect, just this bang, and then the smoke everywhere. It was the airbag burnt the end of my nose.
Brilliant.
So yeah, that was. We jumped out of the car and pushed the car over into it wasn't the hedge, but it was like an old bank. Like the whole front of the car was a write-off. And the recovery team just came, took the car away. We got a taxi back to the airport, and the hire company just gave us another set of keys, and away we went.
Brilliant. That'll do me. That's fantastic. The next guest has arrived. Tell you what, Simon, it's fantastic to see you back, mate. It really is. So looking forward to seeing what you're going to do with that Honda next season. Let's catch up again in the first couple of rounds. Get the first round out the way. Let you get bedded in. Let's have a chat at Oulton Park.
Yeah, can't wait. No, it's going to be a long winter now, sitting looking at a new bike. But look, we'll do the work and we'll arrive next year and we'll be ready to go.
Brilliant. Looking forward to seeing you back out there, mate. It's been too long.
Thank you.
Simon, thanks a lot,
Dave.
mate. Thank you to all the guests this week. It was great to have the two most recent British Superbike champions on the same show. And if all goes as it should, it'd be great to have them both in the World Superbike paddock in 2023. We're back on Monday with the O Show, McCams Yamaha's Jason O'Halloran. So until then, look after each other. Bye-bye.